I think I probably mentioned to most of you last month that I've been editing my first two books, Superwoman and Diva Wisdom. And I found the process hard, but I also reconnected with so much of this content in particular and thought to myself, it hasn't changed. As women, we're still dealing with all the stuff in here, it hasn't changed. But I've changed in the way I talk about it. So I might have talked much more about getting rid of Superwoman and who Superwoman was and be quite ranty about that. And today I talk more about soft power. Because Superwoman is not in her female energy, and female energy and wisdom is soft power. Now, I wanted to just talk about this for a little bit because even the very word soft, a lot of women go, well, I'm not soft, you know, I'm quite strong. The opposite of strong is not soft, okay? So soft power is not weak in any way. And if it was, then why do you think that men are so worried about us harnessing our soft power? And they are, because that's why organisations aren't changing. It's one of the many reasons, and why we are the ones that are switching to male energy, to hard power, to get on, to navigate those ladders, to break through the glass ceiling, to become directors, to sit around the top table. We are very rarely doing that from our soft power base. We are doing that by going native. So that's interesting, isn't it? Why would organisations, and male-driven organisations at that, and institutions, why would anybody want women to give up their soft power? Because when you understand what it is so needed now in every single area of our economy, social, political, business, commercial, every single area. Because we are way, way too male heavy. Everywhere. And you can see it. And when I looked at the stats for the book and the Diva Wisdom book, there wasn't a single stat. Well, actually, I'm lying. There was one stat that had changed. The rest of it had gone backwards. And the one that had changed was our political arena. So we've got more female MPs now than we've ever had. And a lot of that's to do with the Labour Party and the Green Party. But we're still struggling to get women into politics, and we're still struggling to get them to stay. So you look at the amount of women that have left politics in the past 10 years, you know, as well as the amount that have come in, you've got to be made of certain stuff to be able to cope with it, because it's still very, very male. And it's really difficult to harness your soft power. So I wanted to share with you what this soft power is. And I wanted to sort of talk to you about some of the really key things in this area that if we could harness, which is very natural to us, if we could come from this place, boy, not only would we be happier and more fulfilled, but our impact in the businesses that we're in would be phenomenal. So the first thing about soft power is it's very nurturing. And we all know that. It's very nurturing and it's very passive. Now, again, this is one of these words where women go, that's a bit negative, isn't it? I'm passive. I'm just going to let everybody do whatever they want to me. That isn't what passive means in this context. What passive means is that we are more focused on dialogue and creating solutions than we are in fighting and conflict. Now, you think about that on the world stage at the moment. If there were more women sat around these tables, heads of state and in the UN, do you think that we would have our finger on this conflict button and this war button all the time? We really wouldn't. Because we'd be talking, we'd be in dialogue, we'd be trying to come to solutions in a different way. That's what I mean by passive. And it's also multifaceted, this energy, this soft power. It's multifaceted. You know, women don't just multitask, they multi-think, they multi-process. They have to because of their environments. That's a real skill. There are lots of men that can do that as well, but it's a natural thing for us. That's a real skill. That's soft power. Soft power is about being able to see the big picture. It's vision. It's global vision. And whenever you're in conversations with women, we're always thinking about the big picture. We're always saying, well, okay, that's great if we do that, but the impact of that is this. You know, what about the team? What about the competition? What about our long-term goals? What about where we're going? We are all about big picture, and that is absolutely key, because the opposite of that is just short-termism, reaction, knee-jerk. What are we doing now? And you can see that playing out, can't you, in organisations and our political arena again. The next thing about soft power is it's very supportive and team-centric. I don't need to explain that one because all women get that. And you see that all the time. Women are far more team-centric. They always congratulate the team before taking any ownership of anything. So we are team-centric. Most women would agree with that. But we're also receptive and intuitive and gentle and kind. And that's soft power at its core. And that is not weak. Compassion is absolutely essential in any business, in any organisation, and that is soft power. And believe me, if you have an organisation without any of that, you will not be retaining staff. Not the best staff anyway. You will not even be recruiting the best staff because people need to see that. They also need to see value and meaning, and that's also soft power. Instead of task and figures, value and meaning. And that's why what women need, because that's where we are, that's where we come from, that's our soft power. We can't see value and meaning. We get very unhappy, very unfilled, and very mentally deficient very quickly. And that's why we're leaving lots of organisations and setting up our own, because we can define our own value and meaning. I did that at 28 and I'm 62 this year. I would never go back and work for anybody because I can't define the meaning and the value. So that's really important. We are creative problem solvers. Talk to any working mum. Oh my goodness, she'll be able to solve anything very, very quickly. So that's all about this big picture. You know, we're creative. We look at things differently. There's not one size fits all. We'll have a conversation. We'll have the dialogue. We'll find out more data, more information. We're creative problem solvers. And the most important thing about soft power is that it's open and that it's vulnerable. Oh my God, she said the V word. It's open and it's vulnerable. Now, again, a lot of women think that vulnerability is a weakness. And so they hide their vulnerability. They might show that vulnerability in their intimate relationship, because if they didn't, they wouldn't be in an intimate relationship. And neither would a man, to be fair. So it might peek around the corner in that situation. You might kind of show your underbelly. But you see it as a weakness in organisations. Now, there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. Because when you have shown it, you've maybe been stamped on. Or when you have shown it, you've maybe got upset or emotional. And emotional comes with that territory. And you don't want to get emotional because then it'd be seen as weak. All of this stuff goes round and round in your head. But in general terms, and honestly, please believe me when I say this, that vulnerability is power. When you can embrace that, when you can harness it, the first person that speaks up in a room, okay, and shows their vulnerability, allows everybody else to do it. And then that's when we connect. We genuinely connect with rapport. We genuinely connect for life. That's what I've been talking about on this tribe ever since I set it up. If we share our vulnerability and we talk about where we are in our life, and we ask our sisters if they feel the same way or if they've had a similar experience, and then we all understand that we're part of the same tribe, where we can share our vulnerabilities and not be judged and not be criticised, but be supported by our sisters, the world starts to look like a very, very different place. So that's what soft power is. And we all have this as women. But I want you to go away and think about, are you genuinely living from that place? Or are you masking it in some other power, which is generally hard testosterone power, because you feel that that's what you need? And that you're frightened of sitting in this soft power because you don't think you'll get on. When in reality, the absolute reverse is true. Because when you're true to you and you're authentic and you come from this soft power, that's where the action takes place, because you're not male and you're not supposed to behave like a man. And that's where the balance is that we need. That's the balance. And in all honesty, a lot of men want us to be here. A lot of men don't, because it's very scary. It's very powerful. Your soft power is your power. It's where you are empowered. So have a think about it. And if you're brave enough, share. because that's what we're all here for.